I'm going to read inherited tubular disorders from Marrow edition 6. Let's start. Common features of the inherited tubular disorders are polyuria. Polyuria will be seen in inherited tubular disorders, polydipsia will be seen, and failure to thrive. Okay, so let's start with this. Polyuria. Most important function of tubule is to concentrate the urine. Due to dysfunction of the tubules can lead to excess urine output from the kidney because there is no concentration taking place. And polyuria is defined as daily urine output of more than 2 liter per meter square body surface area. Okay. How do we define polyuria is important. You should know that daily urine output of more than 2 liter per meter square of the body surface area. Polydipsia is excessive thirst and failure to thrive due to the impaired absorption of the glucose and nutrients from the tubule. Disorders में we can see Bartter syndrome and Gentleman syndrome and Little syndrome. Starting with first the Bartter syndrome. Ascending limb of loop of Henle is affected and there is defect in the sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter and it mimics the furosemide. Okay. In Bartter syndrome, what is the defect? There is defect in the ascending limb of loop of Henle and a defect in sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter. Mimics what? Mimics the furosemide. Then comes the Gentleman syndrome. And there is defect in the distal convoluted tubule and defect in site of defect is DCT and defect in the sodium chloride co-transporter and it mimics the thiazines. Gentleman syndrome. Gentleman syndrome mimics the thiazines, and in Liddle syndrome there is defect in the collecting duct and gain of function mutation in the gene that encodes for the ENaC epithelial sodium channel, increased activity of the channel. Gain of function mutation in the gene that encodes for the ENaC, that is epithelial sodium channel, and increased activity of channel. Okay, in Liddle syndrome. Inheritance, autosomal recessive, that is Bartter and Gentleman syndrome. They are both autosomal recessive and autosomal dominant is only Liddle syndrome. There's a trick to remember, like Liddle sounds, rhymes like little, and whoever is little dominates. Like the little children always dominates. They always make other do the things they want, the way they want, right? Now, this diagram of proximal convoluted tubule, descending loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle, DCT is here, collecting duct and Bowman's capsule. Moving ahead. In DCT there is sodium chloride transporter where the thiazide diuretics act, and the Gentleman syndrome affects here. Glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, ascending loop of Henle, descending, collecting duct where the amiloride plus Liddle syndrome, and in this is what? Ascending loop of Henle, right? There is sodium chloride co-transporter, loop diuretics and Bartter. Okay, sodium chloride co-transporter, sodium potassium 2 chloride, co-transporter. There is where the loop diuretics act, and the Bartter syndrome. Bartter syndrome, inheritance, autosomal recessive disorder, onset is in the infancy. We already saw that Bartter, only Liddle was autosomal dominant and other are autosomal recessive, and onset is in the infancy, and there is loss of function of sodium potassium and 2 chloride channel, right, in Bartters, right. So what is happening is potassium is lost along with calcium, chloride channel also expressed in cochlea. So there is sensory neural hearing loss in type 4 Bartter syndrome. This sodium potassium, first one is this one, is the sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter. In the second one, renal outer membrane potassium channel. These are all not working, and chloride channel due to the gene Barton. This was chloride channel, third one was, right, first one was sodium potassium 2 chloride channel, and this one, second one is renal outer membrane potassium channel. what is happening is loss of potassium, sodium, potassium and chloride in the urine. This leads to dehydration and decrease in the intravascular volume. This stimulates the renin release from the kidney and activates the renin, leading to an angiotensin and aldosterone mechanism. Activates the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone mechanism. So sodium absorption in the collecting duct and potassium secretion. Potassium is lost in the urine. Due to this aldosterone, there is sodium absorption taking place and potassium secretion taking place. Okay, so there is hypokalemia because potassium is lost in the urine. Also hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis is seen. So what is seen in this Bartter syndrome? In Bartter syndrome there is hypokalemic, hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis. Loss of calcium in the urine. This leads to hypercalciuria, and due to hypercalciuria there are stone formation. Two things that we saw right now: loss of sodium potassium chloride in the urine and loss of calcium in the urine. Due to the sodium potassium chloride loss there is hypokalemic, hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis, and due to calcium loss there are stone formation. Now coming to the Gentleman syndrome, its onset is late childhood and loss of function of what? Sodium chloride co-transporter. First one is this sodium chloride co-transporter, and second one is transient receptor potential M6, TRPM6, responsible for absorption of magnesium. Fine, so the magnesium, sodium and chloride will be lost in the urine. This is what is written here, right? Sodium and chloride loss in the urine, decrease in the intravascular volume. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system is activated. So sodium reabsorption take place due to this aldosterone and potassium excretion, again leading to hypokalemic, hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis, and loss of magnesium leads to hypomagnesemia. So hypomagnesemia is a feature of Gentleman syndrome. Okay. This was something new in Gentleman syndrome. Gentleman syndrome, that is M for magnesium. The difference between the Bartter and the Gentleman syndrome is, in Bartter syndrome there is hypokalemic, hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis. Here also in Gentleman also there is hypokalemic, hypochloremic metabolic alkalosis. This point is same. Blood pressure is normal in both. In Bartter syndrome there is hypercalciuria, but in Gentleman syndrome there is hypomagnesemia. Hypercalciuria is seen in Bartter syndrome, and hypomagnesemia M from M is seen in the Gentleman syndrome. In some cases, increased level of prostaglandins in the kidney. Treatment of the Bartter and the Gentleman syndrome is correction of the electrolyte imbalance. In Bartter syndrome, we can give indomethacin, there is a prostaglandin inhibitor, may be effective. In Bartter syndrome, what can be effective? Indomethacin. Now coming to the Little syndrome, which is its inheritance is autosomal dominant. There is mutation in the SCNNIB and SCNNIG gene. Gain of function mutation, there is epithelial sodium channel in the collecting duct. There is gain of function mutation, right? Consequence, increased absorption of the sodium into the blood. Epithelial, what was happening here is gain of function mutation of the epithelial sodium channel in the collecting duct. Fine. So what is the consequence of this? Increased absorption of the sodium into the blood, because there was increased function mutation, right? And due to this increased absorption of the sodium into the blood, there is hypertension and there is potassium loss in the urine. Due to this potassium loss, there is hypokalemic alkalosis, and due to this hypertension, there is hypertension, aldosterone is suppressed, also known as the pseudo hyperaldosteronism, because there is hypokalemia but aldosterone is not present, so it appears to be hyperaldosteronism, but in reality aldosterone is suppressed. So in Gentleman syndrome, what we will see? Hypertension, hypokalemic alkalosis and low aldosterone levels. Treatment is with amiloride, that is a sodium channel blocker, epithelial sodium channel blocker, and inherited tubular disorders. We read 3. But what are the common symptoms of inherited tubular disorder? Polyuria, failure to thrive, and hypokalemic alkalosis. Repeat again. Polyuria will be seen in all because tubular functions are not tubular functioning is not proper, right? So its functioning was concentration of the urine, concentration will not take place, leading to polyuria. There will be failure to thrive, and there will be hypokalemic alkalosis. Hypokalemic alkalosis cause is different in all three, right? In the above two which we read was Gentleman and Bartter syndrome. Cause was due to the aldosterone axis because RAS was getting activated. But in the last one, there is increased absorption of the sodium in the blood that leads to potassium loss in the urine, right? Last one, in the Little syndrome, the cause was different. Also, Bartter syndrome, there is normal blood pressure, and hypercalciuria is something that we should remember. In Gentleman syndrome, there was hypomagnesemia. In Little syndrome, there is increased blood pressure. Okay. And it is also pseudo hyperaldosteronism condition. Low aldosterone levels are seen.